the repeal of the Act and to go back to legislation that was deemed by just about everybody to be outdated and culturally inappropriate was just disgusting. It's a backward step completely, and that's probably an understatement. We went through an entire Senate inquiry around this. There was a board review from Rio Tinto. Those reports from the Senate inquiry were called a way forward and never again. This is not a way forward.
You mentioned people were feeling betrayed. Can you tell me about that? What have people told you about how they're feeling? People
are feeling betrayed. Look, I represent the group, the traditional owners of Juukan Gorge. I think they were looking at this legislation to be the foundation for the future, to make sure that their views and their heritage is going to be protected properly, and to make sure that the government played a more active and supportive role in the management and protection of their heritage.
Take me back to the destruction of Juukan Gorge. What was the impact?
The thing about Aboriginal cultural heritage, or anybody's heritage, it's about cultural identity. It's who people are, fundamentally. We've had a really long history of colonisation, really brutal, violent colonisation in this country. So people have lost connection to their country and to their lands. These heritage sites are a way for them to regain their connection to country. When we get heritage management wrong and heritage protection wrong, it can have really dire, really severe consequences for the community. Those consequences you can't always see in the public.
The change that's been made, the backflip and those amendments to that more than 50-year-old Act, will it be up to scratch?
No, we're going back to pre-native title legislation that was never fit for purpose. It benefited industry over Aboriginal heritage and Aboriginal people. So it is really a backward step.
And what do you think's behind it?
Well, I think what's behind it is the media campaign we've seen over the last few months. There's been obviously some heavy lobbying from certain industry players. And certainly some Aboriginal groups didn't like it either, but I think they were at opposite ends of the spectrum. Some industry groups wanted fewer or less rigorous protections. Aboriginal groups, I think, wanted a different regime, more protection.
What sort of a long-term impact is this going to have?
The long-term impact for mismanaging cultural heritage is generational, intergenerational. These sorts of decisions affect not just the next generation, but in 10 generations' time. These are really important places that need to be managed carefully, and if we, carve out a section of the cultural landscape without thinking about the consequences and without having some really strong mitigation around that, then the results can be disastrous. So it can be from economic to cultural to medical as well.
Dr. Jordan Ralph, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.